So in this video, we'll be solving the most common coding interview question, which is how to reverse a string. In Java, you can reverse a string using several methods. And in this video, we'll be doing it using the three method. The first method will be using a string builder. So what is a string builder? A string builder is a class in Java that provides a convenient way to create and manipulate strings. And it belongs to the java.lang package and is part of a Java standard library. So in order to do this, what we need to do is first declare a string. The string will hold the value of the text that we want to reverse. So we want to reverse hello world. So in order to reverse, first we'll go and create an object of a string builder. So we need to instantiate string builder. So it says string builder sb is equals to new string builder. And to it, you provide the string that you want to reverse. So in our case, we are going to provide hello world, which is the string, and you give it as a parameter. So now the main advantage of a string builder over the standard string class is that it allows for efficient manipulation of string by modifying the existing object rather than creating a new object each time change is made. So a string builder provides a set of methods that enables you to modify the content of a string. It allows us to append, insert, and delete a character. So in our case, we want to reverse. So it also provides that functionality. So in order to do that, first let's declare a variable which is of type string, and in here it will hold our reverse string, right? So in order to do this, we'll call the string builder, and now it has a function called reverse. We'll call this reverse function, and let's see what it does once we close this. Once we close this, it complains. The reason being we have the reverse string which is of type string, but sb.reverse is not of type string. So we need to convert this to string. So we can call a method called toString, and we can see now it's no more complaints. So just in these two lines, all it does is takes the string and it reverses the string. So let's go and see if that works. So all we can do is system.out.println, and we can go and print the reverse string. And let's see, once we run this, okay, the package system does not exist. Very dynamic. Okay, there's a typo, so we can correct that. And now let's go and run this. Okay, so we can see we got our reverse string as DLROWWOLLEH, which is correct because our text is hello world. Okay, I made a boo-boo here. Let's go and remove the W. Now that's fine, and let's reverse this. That should still be fine. And we can see we're now getting a reverse string of hello world. So that was using a string builder in few lines. So now we'll be using method 2, which is using char array. So now that we know how to reverse a string using a string builder, let's do it using the char array. So first let me comment this and say this was using the string builder. And now we move on using the char array. Using char array. So before we move on, let's understand how we're going to do this. So in char array, what we'll do is we'll loop through this hello world, and what we'll do is we'll take the end and we'll assign it to start. So we'll loop through the entire array and we'll say n will be equal to the start. Then we'll decrement and we'll say this will be equals to start. Then we'll decrement and we'll say this will equal to this. So you understand? So on the first one, let's say what we'll do is our start is h, right? So our h will be equals to d. So the way the string will look is this will say hello world, right? So this is what it will say, and the h will be replaced to the end. So this is how we're going to do is we'll take this end and we'll make it to be the first character of our string. So how are we going to do about that? So first, in order to do that, we need to make sure we have a string. So in this case, we'll be using the same string that we used for the first one, which is the hello world, right? So now we need to declare an array, right, which is of char. So char array, right, is equals to, what we need to do is take the string and convert that to a char first because that's a string. So we take string dot, now it has some function called toChar array. So we'll go and say to char array. So we took that string and we have converted to a character array. So now we need to give it a start position, right? Why are we giving it a start position? So we need to know where it begins with, right? So start position is always 0 because the index always start with 0, right? And we need to give it a end position. So what our end position is? End position is the last character of the length, but if you go to the last character, it will give you an error. That's why you need to always go like, if you have char array dot length, always -1, so that you reach to that last index of, if you go with the char dot length, what it will do is it will give you index out of range. So as I said, we need to loop through this array. We'll be using a while loop. So we'll say while the start is less than the end position, right? So while the starting position is less than the end position, right, what we need to do, what we'll do is we'll swap the characters. So we'll make a temporary variable, and in this temporary variable we'll hold the value of the first character, which is char array, right? And we'll give it a value of the first character. So what is our first character in this case? Position. So in this case, what it will do is when it comes here, it will say temporary variable is equals to h. Okay, and then what's the next move? In the next one, we'll say the char array at position. Now we need to go to the start position, right? Since we give the temporary variable the value of h, we go and say the start position will be equals to the end position, right? So whatever the character is on the end one, which is d, will be equal to h, right? So in this case, now it will go and replace h with d, right? So once we have done that, what do we need to do? So we need to, since we have made h a d, we also need to make a d a h, right? So in order to do that, now we need to go and modify the end position. So the last character in the end, right, will be equals to what? Where does the h belong? Don't forget, we have put the h inside the temporary variable, so we can make the end to be equals to that temporary variable. Once we are done with that, now we need to move on from the first position and the last position. So we need to increment the first position, right? So in order to move from the first one, which is h, to e, what do? We move on +1, right? So therefore we go and say start plus plus, right, which is our position, right? And in order to go from D to L, we -1, right? So in order to do that, we'll say end position minus. So what we done is now we have moved on from H to E and from D to L, and then keep doing this until the start position is less than the end position. Okay, so after it finishes with the loop, what it will do is now it will give you that entire character array, but we need a string, right? So let's go and change that character array to a string. So we declare a variable of string and we call it a reverse string is equals to a new string, right? We instantiate a new string object and we pass it a char array. So what we are doing here is we took a char array and we convert it to a string. So let's go and see if that is correct or not. So we go and print system.out.println, and now we print reverse string. And once we print that, let's see, we should have two same output, the one for this one and one for the second one. And once we print that, we can see we have the same output. So let's go and walk through this one more time so that you understand. So what we did was, first we created a char array, and in the char array we need to get the string that we want to go and reverse. Since it's a string, we cannot say char array is equals to that string. It will give us a problem. So we need to convert that to char array. Once we have done that, we need to declare start position and we need to declare end position. Your end position is always char array dot length -1, because if you say dot length, it will be indexed out of bound. So we loop through it. So we say until the start position is less than the end position. What you will do is char temp is equals to char array start position. This temporary variable will be equals to h, right? So right now our string is hello world, right? So temporary variable will be equals to h, right? When you go to the next line, you see Now your start position is equals to the end position. So what is your start position? In this case, your start position is H and your end position is D, right? Hello world. So H is equals to D. So what this is going to do is it will take the H and replace with the D. So this will become D. Instead of a H, this will turn into a D only. And on the next line, what it does is it takes the end position. What is your end position? End position is D, right? And it go and equates this to temp. What is your temp? Inside a temp, you have a H. So it goes and put a H. So in place of a H, it goes and replaces with a D. So now you know that your first character, right, is a D, and your last character is of what? H. So it means your string at this point looks like this. So right now you have Dello Welch. That's what your string looks like after this line. Then you go on to the next line and you say start position plus plus. Why do you do this? Since you have taken the first character and switched it with the last character, you go and move on to E. But since you are done with the end position also, which is your last character D, and swapped it with the first character, you need to move on from D to L. And this entire process is going to repeat and repeat until the start position is less than the end position. And then on, what we do is what? We know that our final answer is stored in a char array. But we need a string which is reversed. We don't need a char array. So what we do is we declare a new string and we instantiate that and we pass it a char array. So we have converted the char array to a string and we finally reverse the string and we get the output. So that is using a method 2. So now we'll move on to method 3, which is using recursion. And now finally we'll do it using a recursive method. It is going to be very rare that people end up doing a recursive method in an interview. But if you do it, make sure you know how to explain it and make sure you understand every part of it. So what is a recursive method? A recursive method is something that calls itself repeatedly until it has finished. Okay, so in order to do this, it's a function that calls itself. So we need to declare a function. So let's go and declare a function. We'll say public static, and we need a type string, so we'll give it a type of string and we'll give it a capital S. Okay, so capital S, which is a string, and now let's call it a reverse string, but we need to give it a parameter. Why? Because we need to allow it to accept a string, and we'll call that a string. And now before we move on with this, we need to know a recursive function has two things: one, a base case, and second, the recursive. So what is a base case? A base case is something that a recursive method knows that I need to stop executing now because I've reached my base case. So base case is like a warning. It tells it, it's like, hey, look, you have reached this end of this character. Now you need to stop doing. So in our case, we need to look for when we finish looping through the hello world. So in order to do that, what we'll do is we'll check if our string is empty, right? Not blank, but rather empty. If it's empty, then you need to finish executing. So the moment you finish, all you do is whatever you have executed, just return me that entire string, right? So what is a recursive case now? Now we're going to go and do the recursive case, right? So in our case, sorry, there's a mistake. Let's go and correct that. So what are we going to return? So this is where in a recursive case, we're going to call our function. So the name of our function is a reverse string, right? So we'll be calling reverse string, and we know that it needs a parameter of a string. So what we're going to pass to it is something called string. Okay, I made a mistake in typo. Let's go and copy that. We copy that and we say string dot substring. So what we are doing here is, let's go down, we're going to call substring at index 1. So what the substring 1 does is, it returns a new string that is a substring of the original string, starting from the second character index 1 to the end of the string. Thus effectively removes the first character from the string. So thus we'll go and remove the first character of the string, and we go and then concatenate this with a substring 0. So we call a string and then we say char at position 0. So it goes and join at position 0. So let's go and effectively understand what this line does, because this is the main line. So in this line, what we're doing is we're going and calling the reverse string method, and it is recursively called. When we say recursively called, means it is repeatedly called with the new substring as the argument, which is this string dot substring. And this recursively call will keep removing the first character. So this is what we're doing. We're going at this position, we'll say, hey, look, I'm going to index 1, I want to remove that from the string. I'm going to that index 1, because what happening? Let's say at this point we have hello, right? What we'll do, we'll go to index 1, we'll go and remove E, then our index will have H, L, 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 right? What we'll do, we'll go to index 1, which is L, we'll go and remove that L, then we have H, L, O. Like that, we are removing the first index from our string, all right? And until it reaches the base case. What is our base case? Our base case is this, until it goes through the entire loop, which is hello world. The moment it sees the last position means that now I'm going to be empty. So until it reaches the base case, it's going to keep on repeatedly remove that string from the hello world, right? That's what substring does. And on the next, once the base case is reached, as I said, the method will start returning the character in reverse order. So what it will do is it will go here and it will say, okay, now that I have removed everything and joined and concatenated the string, what I'll do is I will go and return that string as you have given me in a reverse order. So why do we have string.char at 0? What does it do? The string.char at 0, it returns the first character of the original string. And this is because the recursion is now unwound and the method is returning from the recursive call. Okay, so what it does is it goes and adds to the substring and it gives us the reverse string of this string. So it takes everything that is we have removed and it goes and start concatenating, or in other words starts joining, and then it gives us finally a string which is reversed. So in summary, let's understand what we have done. So this line of code removes the first character of the original string and then recursively calls the reverse string method with the remaining substring until the base case is reached, and then concatenates the reverse substring and the first character of the original string to create the final reverse string. So once we have this method, now we need to go and call this method so that it can start executing. So we come onto this line. And what do? We need to go and call this method. So let's go and call this method. Since we named this method a reverse string, let's go and declare a variable of type string. We say string reverse. I'm trying to be careful with the name because I have so many reverse names on top. And what are we calling? We are calling this function called reverse string, and we give it a parameter of this variable which we want to return, or which we want to return as a reverse, and we close it. So now let's go and print that. So we finally go and say system.out.println, and we print the reverse string. And once you go and print that, let's go and see, we should have 3 outputs of the same thing. Once that finish executing, we can see we have DLROWHEOLLEH. We can see 3 of them returns a hello world. So this were the 3 different ways of doing a reversing a string in Java. See you in the next video, and let me know in the comment box below what kind of a problem you want me to solve, and I'll try to upload that video. Thank you. Until next time, stay safe.